Another program that is absolutely going to go into the portal, maybe harder than anybody else, is Colorado. Now, we have liked to talk about Colorado on this here show, and we will continue to like talking about Colorado on this here show because the peoples like the Colorado too, even as a 4-win program. And that's really what it's about, because they were hotter than almost any other program in the country to start the season. They take a loss, right? And they're 3-1 through the first third of the season. And then the wheels came off for a number of reasons, but not the least of which is they could not protect the quarterback. It is a glaring weakness in Coach Prime's program. And frankly, it was the one thing that many people were asking, rightfully so, would he have in 2023? The answer was not really, no. Because not only did Shedeur Sanders take more sacks than any other Power 5 quarterback in the sport, he was forced to miss games because he was getting hit so much. But even then, without that dude playing the last game and the second half of the game before that, he finished as a top 20 passer. Like, he still threw for 3,200 plus yards. He's that good. You just have to get him an offensive line that can protect him for the 2 seconds he's going to need to move the ball down the field. I think that Prime is probably going to make that his priority and use this week and the next week and every other week after to make sure that the 5 dudes standing in front of Shedeur Sanders are the best possible 5 that he can get one way or another. I also think this is a good time to tell you that it's not that Prime does not care about high school football players. He loves them. It's just he's also looking at the portal going, did you start? Because that is the thing that he stressed to me. I said, what do you want when you're looking at the portal? He says, I want starters. He said starters a dozen times. He's looking for dudes that were starting high school football games and starting college football games. It's not a particular kind of player that he's looking for, except to the kind that want to be at Colorado, because he's not interested in going to pay for players, and the kind that want to be coached. I also learned from him just what he had learned about himself in this season, because I don't think he's ever had a season like the one that he's had where he has lost twice as many games as he has won, because his entire pedigree, his being, is not just made of being good. It's made of being great. It's elite. It's unprecedented. Playing in the World Series, playing the Super Bowl, winning back-to-back, changing the balance of power in the NFL because you play cornerback. All right? Goes into TV, does a great job with that, goes to Jackson State, goes 4-3, and then starts reeling them off. Okay? Argument is still the same. This is a different level of football, and you're competing against a lot of different people. It is a crowded field in our sport. A lot of people think they can talk college football. Not a lot of people can. A lot of people think they can coach college football. A lot of people can't. He has learned to be patient. That was his big takeaway for himself this year, is he's asking his players to do a bunch in a hurry. And he doesn't expect them to be like him, which I thought was important, because I asked him this. I said, do you think that you have a hard time coaching players not named Shedeur Sanders or Travis Hunter? Because quite frankly, everybody ain't on your level of talent as an athlete. So you can't walk up to them and talk to them the way you might have talked to a younger you. He says, no, I don't do that, and I've never done that, and that will never be what I do. He says, I hire position coaches that I want the players to reflect. So whenever they want to know what it is I expect from them, I ask them to describe their position coach to me. Tough, hard-nosed, organized. That's what I want out of you DBs, right? Offensive line, fiery. Nobody gets behind me. I keep everybody in front of me. I sit on them. That's what he wants, right? He's really interested in making sure that he gets the right 10 on the field assistants at Colorado so that the players have no ifs, ands, or buts about what he expects from them from a from an effort standpoint, not a talent standpoint. The talent will be there. They just have to coach it. His thing is getting to know every one of his players so that he knows which buttons to push and how quickly to push them. Nothing about him motivating the players or motivating his coaching staff gives him pause. He loves this attention. He's very good with it. I mean, I don't know of any other head coach that ended up on Good Morning America after going 4-8 in his first year, because he's that magnetic. But I thought it was interesting that his big takeaway was being patient, even as a 54-year-old man who's got the kids that he's got that are grown. He's still having to learn. There are only so many times that you could push somebody. A little bit more in there about the coordinators and the position coaches. You've seen a couple of folks go out he's wished them well. He had nothing ill to say about them. Also asked that people not really look at Pat Shurmur's NFL career when talking about what he may or may not be as a coordinator. He's not set on Pat Shurmur being the coordinator, but you saw what he was able to do the last couple of games. I'd like to say that he's the clear leader in the clubhouse. We'll see what he does at offensive line, but he was really happy about it. Like, he didn't really want to get in front of the process, but the guy that he most happily interviewed looks like the dude that he's going to try to hire. I'm interested to see how this also affects not just Travis Hunter and Shedeur, but the rest of the players that chose to stay, because you'll see a number of other players that have gone in from the transfer portal from Colorado and a number of others that might have bad things to say, which doesn't make them any different than any other player at any other Power 5 school if we're being honest about it. It's just a bigger deal because Prime will talk. Prime will tell you what he thinks. And if you ask him straight up, he will give you a straight up answer. And if he doesn't like your question, he will pull your chain on it. He will ask you, what the hell are you talking about? And I like that, right? Because I like to be the guy asking questions. And I like to think I'm good at asking questions. If you ask them politely and with respect, you'll get a polite and respectful answer. That's where he's at. Now, the last thing I asked him about that I thought was really interesting is like, hey, Doc, everybody else around the program seems to be very, very uncomfortable with the revolving door that seems to be your program from the outside. Coaches going, coaches leaving, right? Coaches coming, coaches leaving. Players coming, players leaving. Feels like you got 57 mercenaries out of the portal and not 57 Colorado Buffaloes, to which he said that's because they're not in control. We all in this sport, and particularly in college football, but really at all of our jobs, we want to be in control. We want to know what is happening, and we want to know why it is happening. And Prime is not interested in telling anybody what he doesn't want them to know. He's even said this part out loud. Look, this is my house, and I have tinted the windows. You will see what I let you see. When I open the window, please take a look. But until I open the window, you're just not going to know. So you're going to speculate, and you're going to commentate. And frankly, he was telling me, hey, RJ, you just keep it real. If I did something wrong, I'm okay with that. Keep it real with me. Keep it real with the folks that watch your show, and we will continue to do what it do, as long as you're being honest and faithful and true. And I'm with that, because that's what I ask from anybody, right? You want to talk noise, talk your noise, right? But don't say anything that's untrue. And if you have an opportunity to go check it out, just go check it out. And if they don't want to tell you, say they don't want to tell you. That's the same. That said, they have the number 65 ranked 2024 recruiting class, which means that if it ended today, they would have a recruiting class that is the lowest ranked for Colorado since 2016, when they had the 69th best recruiting class. That was kind of a shocking detail to me, because Colorado ain't been nobody basically since they joined the Pac-12. That 1 year, 2016, they won 10 games, right? Mike McIntyre wins Coach of the Year. But outside of that, we haven't been thinking about Colorado as a place where people just want to show up and start playing football until Prime. Now, there are folks that are going to get very upset about seeing just 2 top 100 players out of high school in that class and 1 top 10 player out of JUCO in that class, to which I say, remember, his formula doesn't really require that many high school football players. He wants 20% high school football. He wants 40% transfers, and he wants 40% grad transfers. He's also really looking at some HBCU players, try to get them in the door, because he was really the dude that showed folks that modern HBCU football players in mass can go play Power 5 football, because he gave opportunities. And he gave opportunities because national television wanted to follow him around. So he's going to go look, and if there's something to go get there, he'll go get it. But I'll put it this way. Forget Shedeur. Forget Travis. The dude that really turned me on to, okay, Prime is going to go get a player and turn him into somebody else wants, is Dalen Baldwin, who was a wide receiver at Jackson State, who ended up transferring to Michigan and played on a college football playoff team and won a Big Ten championship as a starter at wide receiver for them. So I'm not really that interested in the conversation around high school recruiting at Colorado, but right now at least, right? He even is going as far as to go, okay, 2025 kid wants to decommit, that's fine. I honestly wish that they didn't commit as early as they do. It's also a man that would like to see, once you commit, you don't get to take any more visits, because if that's what you want to do, you shouldn't be doing it anymore, right? I'm with that. But it is supreme confidence to watch a dude like Antoine Hill just decide, nah, I don't want to do this no more, and be fine with it, because that's basically been his get down. He will go get dudes that can help him win. And as he looks at the portal, he sees Christmas. He sees a bunch of dudes that can go in, that he can go get, that want to come help him. As a matter of fact, the quote is, "Trust me, there's not a day that goes by that kids aren't blowing up our recruiting staff. They're calling and we're responding." And he is doing just that as he gets ready to launch the second season of his TV show, Coach Prime, where he gets to tell everybody how much he likes Robin Roberts, among other things. Like, I just don't know if any other head coach has got that kind of sway. I don't see Kirby Smart on Good Morning America. That's all I'm saying here, right? And until that's no longer true for Prime, perhaps we should all just kind of wait and see. I'm interested in waiting and seeing. Am I going to be as bullish as I was last year? We'll see. We'll see. Right? But the Big 12 is not the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 certainly is not the Big 12. I also think one last point on this is Prime plus Shedeur plus Travis means that you can get anybody to take your phone call, coaches or recruits, because that dude's a star. He raised a star at quarterback, and he recruited a star at wide receiver and cornerback. And those dudes get all the spotlight when they are playing well. And don't you want to be in the spotlight if you play college football?
If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.